Hey, Camille.
Hey, Cory.
Season 2, we ready? Episode 1.
New year, new you.
New year, new us, right? Barn to Boardroom, episode 1, season 2. What did we learn in season 1? Did we learn anything?
You know, I'm ready. I'm like about moving forward. Like, what's your number one New Year's resolution?
Number 1.
Or what's
to not be your number 2? No, I mean, it's probably what everybody else is, you know, for the next 17 days.
Not be a number 2.
Not be a number 2. That's my New Year's resolution, is to not be a number 2. You know, that fresh guacamole that we see out in the pasture, to not be that number 2.
Dumb boy.
Grab the chips. So, cattle joke. I think we've got a great guest. Are we like gonna rock, paper, scissors? Who's doing the introduction here?
Oh, I'll do it.
Oh, I guess we're not. You're just gonna do it.
Okay. I'll just take charge here.
All right, do it.
Okay. I'm excited. You've known him longer than I have, but he is super.
Hey, half my life almost.
Yeah.
Half my life.
He is impactful once you get to know him and just understand his philosophies and life values. He's a cool guy. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's a cool guy. You're really building him up. And it's true. It's all true.
It's cool.
But hold on. He's a cowboy.
He is a cowboy.
And he was raised in a cowboy town of Scipio, Utah.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen him not in Wranglers.
Hey, real quick though, Scipio, the zonkey at the petting zoo at the gas station.
Good time.
Half donkey, half zebra, the zonkey.
Yeah. Stop by on your way.
Yeah, it's one of the cool parts of Scipio.
Aaron G. White is an accomplished venue executive and general manager with more than 25 years of experience leading large-scale stadiums, arenas, and destination entertainment venues. He is known for transforming operations, strengthening financial performance, and delivering world-class live events through disciplined execution, collaborative leadership, and guest-focused innovation. Over the course of his career, Aaron has reversed multi-million-dollar operating losses, negotiated high-impact contracts, generating millions in revenue and tens of millions in economic impact, and successfully delivered complex capital projects exceeding $100 million on time and under budget. Currently serving as general manager of Thunder Ridge Nature Arena, Aaron oversees all operational and strategic functions for a premier 20,000-seat indoor amphitheater set in Missouri's Ozark Mountains. Previously, he spent over 2 decades in senior leadership roles at the University of Utah, managing Rice-Eccles Stadium, the John M. Huntsman Center, and campus event services, while driving significant revenue growth, operational efficiencies, and culture-building initiatives. Recognized for his ability to lead teams through change, navigate public-private partnerships, and align stakeholders around a shared vision, Aaron brings a proven track record in venue management, large-scale event production, financial stewardship, and strategic development.
Hey, real quick, before we let Aaron in, I'm actually glad that you did that. He's got a long resume, and that was a lot to read, but I'm going to just real quick, like I said, before we let Aaron into the podcast here, I've been friends with Aaron for 20 years. He's one of the very first people I met when I started in the athletics department at the University of Utah. One thing that needs to just be mentioned that's not on the resume, because you don't really say these things, but he's absolutely one of the most ethical, if not most ethical people I've ever worked with and got to know. He's been a great mentor. He's one of those guys, if you're having a rough day, he's going to see it, know it, and he's going to ask you, because he's done it with me several times. So, there's a lot more than just what you just read. And so anyway, we're super excited to have him.
Hey, Aaron, welcome. We're excited to have you.
Yeah, it's great to be here. It's great to talk to you guys. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Aaron, I obviously super excited. As we mentioned in the intro, you know, we've been friends for almost 20 years. We worked together for a long time. And yeah, super excited. But one of the things I've got to just come right out of the gate and ask you, I'm not going to ask you about the chickens and the little ranch that you guys have going on in Missouri. But one of the things that you taught me is about being the best of the best. Tell us what that means and what you teach when it comes to being the best with your team. Not only your team, but probably flows into your family and your personal life as well.
All right. Yeah. So the best of the best. Well, it's one of the prongs of my culture and who I am and how I function professionally and personally. The three prongs being get it done, unity, and best of the best. Best of the best is it can be overwhelming if it's not focused. It's a stepping stone. So it begins with being the best in one thing, and then how that expands into many things. So in my business, which is events and venues, you want to be the best of the best in parking. Then you want to be the best in ticketing. Then you want to be the best in concessions. And if you focus on each of those individual things and becoming the best of the best and striving and pushing, then it all compiles, like, for example, a pie. Each piece of the pie you become the best in, and before you know it, you've got the whole pie and you are the best in what you do. And I think it applies as well to my private life, being the best in the best of the best dealing with kids.
Yeah.
If you and you guys know as well as anybody that's got kids. I've got 6 kids, and as you know, they range from ages of 30 down to 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very easy to mess up dealing with one of them, as each one of them has their own personality. And if you focus on that, then it's just detrimental to being the best dad or mentor or example to them. But if you focus on one thing at a time, maybe being there for your kids, listening is a great thing, and you focus on that one thing and you become the best you can at listening. And then you move, the kids are pretty good about giving you feedback.
Yeah.
So
brutal
yeah.
feedback. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think in my world, it's a matter of being the best of the best at each little thing, and that grows into you being the best.
I love
in specific areas.
I love that singular focus is, everybody makes New Year's resolutions. It's a new year, new me, new you. That one of the things I wanted to work on is simplifying and focusing on one area at a time, not trying to multi-focus. How do you pick which one you're going to do right now, or what's the most important one thing?
So I encourage my team, and I do it myself. And, you have these staff evaluations that companies have you do, and I struggle with those. But I find if I ask my team to sit down and put together 1-year goal, 3-year goal, and 5-year goals, and this is what I want to achieve this year. This is what I want to achieve be at in 3 years, and this is where I want to be in 5 years. Then, like you're saying, Camille, this year, as I sit down and look at next year,
yeah,
and I go, okay, what do I want to do? I've got the 3 and 5 year. I can look back on my 1 year and say, did I achieve what I wanted to? Where am I at? And that self-assessment.
Yeah.
And looking at it and saying, where am I at? Did I actually get where I wanted to go? And I think that self-evaluation, self-assessment's really important as you look at where you want to be and where you want to go. And that roadmap of the 3 and 5 year goals helps you get there and helps you decide what you want to do. Monetarily, in business, I run a business. I'm held accountable for budgets and finances. It's pretty easy to say, this is where we landed this year, and I want to increase that by 20%. That's pretty easy. It's getting down in the weeds and saying how.
Yeah.
That makes it a little harder. So.
I like Camille's question, and really what you just said is the how, right? I think that's what can get skipped over, as they talk about words on the wall. We're going to increase our revenue by 20% this year, and then you talked about the how, which is critical. So the question is, how do you get your team to get bought in on the how?
Well, I think it comes down to two things: the how and the why. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking at your team, and I actually just had a meeting with my team before they all split for the holidays, and I told them when they get back, I want their goals, their 1, 3, and 5 year goals, and then I want the why. And if you understand the why for each of your each of your employees, or even your family, Max, my 6-year-old son, as you guys know, he's motivated by very different things than Kingston, my 9-year-old son. Yeah. And understanding what motivates them and why they do what they do, I think is how you get back to accomplishing the how. So,
well, also it reduces noise. As you're saying that, I'm laughing because I'm thinking about a time you and I had, Aaron. We're standing on the sidewalk on Guardsman Way, and I met you there. And the first thing you said to me, and it was prior to a game day, and we're standing right in front of the football facility, and you said, "Cory, why are we doing this?" And I couldn't answer it, and I'm like, "I don't know, so let's not." I don't know. So I think it's a powerful question to ask, right? Like, why
are we having
is this
meeting?
Directly tied to what we want to get out of the year, the 3-year, the 5-year? And I remember just like, I don't know why, so let's not worry about it. So sometimes you do stuff to do stuff that you don't really need to do, right?
Yeah. And that evaluation of coming back even during the year and saying, why are we all excited about, a complaint, an issue, a problem? We're about to spend an entire week on this issue or problem. A lot of times it's good to say, why are we doing this? Is this the best use of our time? Is this going to get us to that end goal of being the best of the best? Or are we just spinning our wheels and putting out a fire that technically is going to fizzle out and die anyway? So, and in my business, complaints are a part of my world.
Yeah. If you don't have one, there's a problem.
and figuring out which ones are just noise, to use your word, Cory, and which ones are actually, once you address them, are going to push you and your team forward to being the best. That's an assessment that you have to do as a leader, and make sure that you and your team are focusing on the things that push you to be the best of the best.
How do you handle maybe those few individuals on the team, or one individual that isn't sold on the best, or maybe brings some negativity to the space? Which negativity, we all know is an easy way out. It's the easy way out. But how do you handle that individual?
In today's corporate world, it's hard, because we have become very focused on the one, and being fair and being just with the one, and less focused on the impact of the one on the rest of the team, and how that negatively impacts the rest of the team and their ability to get the job done. So for me, and it's something I've had to learn over the years, two things I like to keep it in mind. Number one, just because somebody hasn't bought into my culture of best of the best, get it done, does not mean that they're a bad person. It doesn't mean that they're not a capable person. It just means that they can't function within my culture, or they don't want to function within my culture.
And that's
so
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just saying, so separating that, their actions from them as a person, I think that's very important.
No, that is, I was going to say that's great, because a lot of times we just go say, well, they're a bad person. I didn't think about it that way until you just said what you said about separating it out, because we lump everybody together, right? As far as them, we go, no, they're negative or this or that. And you're right. Maybe it's not a negativity piece. Maybe it's just they just don't fit the culture. But there's one out there that they probably do that maybe I don't or you don't.
Yeah. And I think sitting down with them and having those conversations and being, I think the term brutally honest is kind of a cop out, but being honest with them and saying, this is my culture. These are the actions that are happening. This is the direction I want to go. This seems to be the direction you want to go. Let's have a conversation. Are we going to be able to get over on the same page so we're going in the right direction? If we aren't, then how can I help you achieve what you want to achieve? Because obviously what you want to achieve is not what I want to achieve.
So Aaron, you should write the book on kind versus nice. And because they're different, right?
Yeah.
Right. Being kind is present, and I want you to know because I care. Being nice is I'm going to be nice to your face. I don't want conflict. I'm going to get past this, but it's all gonna boil over at some point.
Nothing gets fixed.
Yeah, and so right now we're dealing, and you mentioned in the workforce, we're dealing with so much nice over kind, and as a fellow cowboy, Aaron. You and I both grew up, and nice was not a thing. Kind was, but when something was said, it was because they cared about us, and it might have come across as not being nice. But talk a little bit about the kind versus nice, in a sense of, I love you, that's why I'm saying this to you, or I care about you, or I want you to succeed on the team, over being nice.
Well, and I think that goes back to what I was saying, is differentiating between them as a person and their ability to fall within your culture. So being kind is having that conversation. It's direction. It's giving direction. And you know what? Whether people agree with you or don't agree with you, I'll give an example. I had an employee, and you know him very well. Worked at the University of Utah. He's been there for years and years and years. And I had applied for a promotion at the university, and the vice president at the time over facilities singled out some of my staff, and he was one of the ones that had been singled out. And that individual and I had our moments, and he'd had some discipline that had been applied. And the vice president asked him, do you think Aaron would be good for this job? And how do you feel about Aaron? And he said, you know what? I hate his guts. But I'll tell you, he's honest, and he's the same person to every single person, all of us on the team. And I hate him, but I respect him. Yeah. And the vice president came back to me and said that was the greatest compliment that he'd ever heard from anyone.
Well, because you don't know, was that a compliment or was that, it's like, but no, it truly is. And yeah. I've never seen you treat anybody differently. I like I said, worked with you for a long, long time. We're family. And I personally and professionally, I've never seen you treat anybody any different. And so that being kind creates safety, so that employee felt safe regardless of, right? And maybe they didn't like you, but they sure trusted you. And isn't it crazy that you can actually not like somebody but trust them? Mm-hmm. But you can trust somebody but not like them. And so it's kind of that same concept. Yeah. And
interesting enough, when I retired, he came up and we developed a pretty good friendship. But I think to circle back around to link this to being kind, that you don't have to have this friendship, this nice. And I think when we're nice, we're seeking to be their friend. We're seeking to be, what is more important than that is that respect.
Yeah.
And if you've developed a mutual respect, they may not like you. And, I think back in my personal life, my dad was the epitome of, you could call it kind. And there were times that I'm not sure that about the nice and love, but I always, my entire life, I had a great deal of respect for my dad. And it was because of who he was, and I knew that he wanted me to be a better person, and he was very good at defining that expectation. This is my expectation of you, and the reason for that is because I know what you can achieve, and I know who you can be. And I think you can apply that same thing to your employees. Once you've communicated with them that it's not about your bottom line, you actually see potential in them, and this is the expectation, and by adhering to the culture, they're going to achieve their potential. There's a respect that's developed, even if they don't fall within the culture, even if they don't accept the culture. They still respect you because they know that ultimately what you care about is them achieving their potential.
I love that. I love the idea of the potential, because I talk a lot about what culture does to profitability and the bottom line, like you said. And I actually like the definition better, maybe like a culture of potential.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Erin, you better hurry and go get that trademark. We might steal it.
Because it's more than just, it does trickle down. It eventually trickles down, and you definitely can see it. But yeah, that kind of just bring like in my like a culture of potential. I really like that. So how do you take these tough, kind conversations that you've had with your team, and then, take that energy, and maybe, inside you got to have some frustrations because you're like, why can't you see the vision I'm seeing? And then be able to flip that to the next issue that comes at you. You're the top of the tier here, dealing with all the things that are going on these deadline events and things that have to get done. There's definite deadlines in your industry. So how do you pivot and keep your emotions steady?
I think for me, I drink Pepsi.
Camille, will you go to the fridge for me?
Yeah. Just a minute. I'm going to need that. Take a break.
Yeah. So I learned back, 30 years ago, I had an incident at the Huntsman Center, and my staff can attest to this, and I had a moment of dealing with an employee, and it was not good, to say the least, and we had a big event coming the next day, and we were prepping for it, and the employee was just almost sabotaging what was happening. Mm-hmm. And the employee and I was young.
Yeah. Oh, we've all been there. Yeah.
26-year-old kid trying to run the Huntsman Center and everything. But anyway, and I lost my temper. And there was a huge bucket sitting there, and this employee and I had gone the rounds, and he threw his keys at me and slammed a door, and I turned and grabbed that bucket and chucked it. And it went about 20 rows down the Huntsman Center. We were on that top level of the Huntsman Center, and I broke 3 chairs, and parts went everywhere. And I can honestly say, as I watched that bucket go, I knew what was going to happen. And that the consequences of that, Cory, you and Camille, you guys are familiar with the E plus R equals O.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here comes the outcome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just chose how to react, and here it comes.
Yeah.
And I literally busted 3 chairs, and so because I wasn't cool, level-headed, anchored, instead of my staff setting up for an event that we were under the gun for, now we had to replace some chairs. We had to do a bunch of extra work, and you know, and I can honestly say that never happened again. I think one of my best qualities as a leader is, even when things are falling apart and everything is, I tell my staff all the time, if you're panicked, then everybody around you is panicked. And so when it's really ugly, I will take a walk and then come back to the situation and start over. Here in Missouri, I was at the University of Utah for 31 years. We did we sheltered in place once. And then we had snow and stuff like that. But here in Missouri, we've sheltered in place 3 times.
Oh, wow.
We've had 2 evacuations due to tornadoes.
Wow.
We had a tornado hit the day after the event. We had, this past year, we did a huge, major concert, and I won't share what it was, but our parking staff no-showed. The highway patrol ended up having 3 fatalities. And so my traffic support from the highway patrol ended up dealing with fatalities out on the highway. And it was just a nightmare. Probably the worst event I've ever been associated with. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. And some people still had a good time. We had lines forever, but my staff coming out of that, they were as low as I've ever seen a staff, because we got blown up. We got blown up on social media. We got blown up on TV. We got blown up across the board. And this is the worst venue, the worst staff, the worst everything. So at the same time, I was managing the media and the press and ownership and Live Nation and artists and different things. I had to figure out how to, because it was like second show of the year. So we still had an entire concert season ahead of us. And my staff were ready to quit. Oh. So I stepped back, and it was rough. But I remember going into my office and just shutting the door and thinking, okay, what went well?
Nice.
What did we do good?
Yeah.
And you know what? There were some things that we did well. There were some things that we executed that got buried in the negativity. And so I called a staff meeting, and it was like 2 a.m. And I went in, and everybody was expecting me to lose my mind because they'd, and I started with what went well. And I think that's what we need to do more of. Yeah. It's not that you don't see the negative. It's not that you're not going to deal with it and you're not going to do better. And we did much, much, much better. The rest of the season went really well for us. And I didn't lose any staff. They all stayed, and we had a good year. But it's a matter of, I think when things go bad, it's not that you're defending, and we know the BCD and everything, but I think it's important to explain to people, and maybe it goes back to that, stay with, what's within your 20 feet, 40 feet. What can you control? What happened today? Everything went south. What happened that we could have done, we could have controlled? And what was outside our control? And one of the positives was the way that we reacted to the things outside of our control.
Mm-hmm. Celebrating the strengths, not highlighting the weaknesses. So, yeah, perfect.
But I think too, Aaron, you stayed in your processes too, right? As much as you could, with being handed items and events that you didn't ask for. And I think it's powerful that you started that way, because I firmly do believe that most people get up in the morning and when their feet hit the floor, they don't say, man, I hope I suck at my job today. But things happen, right? Things happen. And I have to think about, because, you and I, at another place we work together that's been mentioned here a few times, but if the team lost, the parking was horrible, the lines to the bathroom were long, the food was yuck, but when they won, it was all different, right? You never hear those things. However, what on the backside, though, is the staff did the same thing. The processes were not any different.
Yeah.
So...
there's a lot of truth to that. Exactly.
I want to circle back around. Speaking of you talked about, as we go back to the best of the best, and you talked about, hey, let's start with one thing. I know that obviously, Aaron, you go back a long ways at the University of Utah, not only on the campus side, but obviously on the athletic side too. And I remember you and I are having breakfast with another gentleman, and it is we're playing at UCLA. And at the time, you helped make sure that the coaches' headsets were being managed correctly. They were those that were taking care of them were on top of it. And it's because you started with a guy named Urban Meyer who trusted you to make sure that worked, and then Coach Whittingham, right? But you went. There was a process there. But those are two guys that are huge process people, and you probably made them feel comfortable and safe because of. You follow processes too, and I know you do. So, and I want to touch on this just a little bit further. How do you continue to make people again feel safe because of the process? Maybe when they don't understand, they're not negative, but they don't understand the process. You respect the process, make sure you're following the process. And even I in the past have gone I got to kind of question the process, and which is okay. That's good. Sometimes we need to hear that. But how do you keep them going, Kate, you got to trust me in the process?
Well, I think two things. Number one, it goes back to what we talked about before as far as respect. Mm-hmm. I think they need to respect you as a leader. And that respect leads to trust. So part of it is that trust and respect. The other part of it, I think, is, and across the board, I see it all the time, this information is power, and so we don't share it. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that is a huge mistake if you want somebody to buy into you and your process.
Oh my gosh, we could have a whole another hour on that right there.
Aaron, when do you want to come back?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that is, yeah.
So I think getting... As you get information, getting that out there so people see it, and then they understand the why. Yeah. This is the process, and this is why this is the process. And explaining to them, and I have my directors meetings, and while I include them in some of the big picture type things, I don't include them in everything. And I always tell them, you're this piece right here, and so my director of ops is this piece right here. My director of event services is this piece right here. I can see where you're both going, even though you can't. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I need you to trust me that end result is going to be what we want. And if you're communicating with them so that they're not going, whenever there's a bleed over between one and the other, so that they're not shocked by that. Why are they in my lane? Why are they working in my lane? It's in the meetings. You say, okay, just so you know, director of events, ops is going to be handling this time, and you're going to be working here. Smart. So that they're not shocked by it, mm-hmm. and everybody buys into it. And then you get some successes behind you. I mean, a great example, we had the Outlaw Festival, and we had to evacuate because of a tornado. And, the staff came back, and they're like, whoa, it's crazy how well that worked. and it's not that we didn't have issues. We had damage. We had, different things happen. We had a couple people that got hurt, not critically hurt, but that got hurt. But the process worked because everybody stayed in their lane and did what they were supposed to do. They opened their binder, they opened their, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. Okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing here. Okay. And then at the end of the day, you look back and it's like everybody's, basically got PTSD because you had 80-mile-an-hour winds that were blowing everything around. But they look back and they go, we just evacuated 13,000 people in 45 minutes. And yeah, there were injuries, but nobody got seriously hurt.
Yeah.
And that's a huge success. And you get a couple of those successes, and then your staff starts to trust and respect again. And it just is able to snowball and build. And I think it comes back to the team. If you've got that unity, so that's, again, one of my pillars. They need to understand each other. They need to rely on each other. And they need to feel that they have each other's backs. Mm-hmm. And as a leader, if you see an instance where, something's out of line and somebody's, for lack of a better way of putting it, stabbed somebody in the back or not got somebody's back, in my world, I look at little things, and my staff will tell you this all the time. I expect every person on my staff, if you see a piece of paper, you pick it up. Mm-hmm. Now, that does a couple of things. Number one, it picks up the garbage. But number two, it shows the ops team that you have their back. Mm-hmm. Instead of you calling and saying, hey, there's a chair sitting right here that needs to move 10 feet, you move it 10 feet. If it's something you can do in the next 15 minutes, do it. And those little things are huge when the team, because the team notices it.
Yeah.
And it has to come from the top. My team have seen me scan tickets. They've seen me direct traffic. They've seen me pick up trash. They've seen me in the command post. And because I do it all, they're like, oh man, Aaron does it. I better do it. Mm-hmm. And so that just builds that unity so that they trust each other, and then they trust the process and what the end result's going to be.
Well, it opens communication to being unified. Also, too, that ties right back to the overall objective of being the best of the best, because you did pick up the paper, and it's everybody's job. It's not just one person's job. But Aaron, as we wrap up, first thing I have to do is I have to tell you, I have to admit, I have a sticky note on my keyboard that says, "Don't call him A." And we laugh because Aaron, internally, a lot of us are like, hey, A, what's going on? And so I literally have do not call him A. I just want you to know that. And I guess the last thing that I would just ask is, Aaron, as we wrap this up, what is that one piece of advice you would give a leader on making sure that they are driving towards the best of the best with their team, their unit, their folks?
Wow.
No pressure.
In my world, the thing that I have found that is just a nail in the coffin for being the best of the best is complacency. Mm. And my one thing, and I preach it to my staff all the time, is do not get complacent. Mm-hmm. It just, and I think we're naturally, as people, as human beings, we have a tendency to get, so like in the event business, and that's why I say in my business, in the event business, you have a great event, and then you have another great event, and the ticketing just runs, and there's no lines for concessions. And so then I think it's the natural thing to do is, okay, the ticketing's working great. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to worry about it. The concessions are working great. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to worry about it. And you have a tendency to just kind of look at things that maybe didn't go so well. Mm-hmm. The old, it's not broke, don't fix it, or that's the way we've always done it. I think that just breeds complacency. And then before you know it, you get blown up.
Yeah.
And so just always, if you want to be the best, you've got to destroy complacency.
I love that.
And you have to always keep your people looking at being the best of the best. How are we doing this?
Yeah.
Well, okay, ticketing did great. We processed everybody within 20 minutes. All right. Is there anything we can do to get everybody in 15? Is there anything, did we get complaints? What were the complaints? How do we adjust? And having those conversations, debriefs, that kind of stuff, but it's fighting complacency. Yeah. And I think we're naturally complacent as people.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Something you just said, I have never really thought about it that way, is that, why, if it's broke, don't fix it. I actually say that all the time. And, which maybe in some cases works, but however, maybe you don't know it is broken. If you're like, we don't need to fix it, maybe just, hey, can it be better to get us to be the best of the best? But
my grandpa had a friend who loved Will Rogers and used to quote him all the time. But I'll never. One of the things that he quoted that it just has stuck with me forever. I lived with my grandparents for a year or two, and was Will Rogers used to say, "You can be on the right track and still be run over."
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you're on the right track and you're not moving,
yeah,
you're going to get run over.
Will Rogers is not wrong, and your grandfather wasn't wrong. And I'm going to guess, because your grandfather was a Will Rogers guy, he was probably a Paul Harvey guy too.
Yeah. Yep.
And nobody probably knows who Paul Harvey is but Aaron and I anymore.
Yeah.
But anyway, Aaron, it was great to have you on. We want to have you back.
Yeah.
And we'd like to make this maybe a normal thing. I want to tell you thank you for all the things that you've personally taught me. It was an honor to work with you, and to now call you family, right? Mm-hmm. And to keep that going. But I really I appreciate it. And I've seen the impact that that Aaron's had with his people. Mm-hmm. And it would be funny when I never heard anybody ever complain about Aaron on his team, but they would say Aaron said, and I'm like, maybe listen to what he's saying to you. Okay. And so, but Aaron, appreciate you. And
I appreciate it. And I appreciate you guys.
I'm going to come out and see you guys real soon. I miss you guys too. We miss you too. So, but we'll come out and see you, say hello to the family, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Man, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Going back to the very beginning when I asked what your number one resolution was.
Didn't that be number two?
What was what was your highlight from what Aaron just talked about?
All of it.
All right.
Yeah, all of it was good. I would say a couple of things as someone who talks a lot, that being me, is, if we talk about the code of the West, it's that talk less, say more. And that to me was kind of a vibe, I guess, through the whole podcast that I really picked up on. But I loved when he talked about having a rough event, what appeared to be a rough event, and call in a storm and all these things, and calling his staff in at 2 a.m. If I remember right, it was 2 a.m. in the morning, and saying what went right. And now they're taking that, we're turning it into a great event. One of the things too that Aaron would say is that you be the best of the best. He mentioned that. And the idea is there's going to be mistakes, but are you ready for those mistakes? And, but my favorite part, this is crazy, was the Will Rogers comment that his grandpa mentioned to him, because it takes me back to Will Rogers, and I mentioned Paul Harvey, but it's right. You can be on the right track, but you can still get hit by the train, right? So keep your head on a swivel. But just his overall way that he drives culture, and as we, with True Grit Edge and the mission we're on there, Camille, Aaron is the epitome of driving a culture of profitability, then sharing that profitability with his folks. Mm-hmm. That's
sharing the wins, celebrating the wins and what went right. And I also thought it was just right for the brand too, because it's such an orchestra of an event to get it all to work together. And everyone's in our lives for a season, and you have people come and go that you work with and that affect your career, and to have to be able to share that vision with his whole team, like every event would have to have a vision, to have a vision, to have it be successful, and he's just going to have to repeat that processes. That tip of the iceberg. Tip of the iceberg is what we got, but what nuggets.
The last thing I would say is that he is very much about reducing the noise. Like, is that really like? And I mentioned he would say to me, "Why are we doing this?" And it has nothing to do with that he didn't want to do it. It was like, let's get on to bigger and better stuff. Are we just filling in spots we don't need to?
Yeah. Well, there's no time wasting when you have a deadline of an event starting.
Yeah, there's not. And he's, it was fun to work with him. I was with him for almost a decade, and got to work with him. And you mentioned some of the capital projects at the beginning. I was able to work with him on some of those things. But again, great friend, great mentor. And Aaron, thanks for coming on. We're going to have you again.
Well, you didn't ask me what my New Year's resolution was.
Oh, Camille, I'm sorry. What is your New Year's resolution?
Actually, it's a little more serious, but it's about being intentional. And I feel like he's the epitome of
that is more serious than me not being number two. Yeah.
Is being intentional. Like, what are we just doing a bunch of fluff? Like, no, we have a deadline to hit, and I have goals I want to meet, and I need to say no a few more times, and so I can be intentional.
Be kind, not nice.
Yeah.
Right.
So much to come this year. I'm excited.
So much to come. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Camille, what are we going to do now?
Well, the weather's been great, so we definitely can go enjoy those sunsets.
I feel like we're going to enjoy the sunsets and mow the lawn. It's December, and well, I guess it's January in Idaho and no snow in the Rockies.
Yeah. Weird.
Very weird. Well, thanks again, everybody, for listening, and we will see you next time.